All right, all right, all right. So we're starting marigolds. We're going to start them outside in these seed trays, but actually we're going to allow them to sit in the greenhouse until we're ready to put them out into the garden beds. And one reason why we're starting the marigolds is because marigolds are great um, plants to have in your garden, especially early spring, to get settled in your garden because they're excellent as far as pest control is concerned. So we want to start these. I'll start these before we even start the peppers and the tomatoes indoors because we want to get them into this garden and let them get settled and make themselves at home and avoid those early pests like those. Help avoid like those aphids that like to come up early spring and all that type of stuff. So I have some core in here, some coconut core that I already had in here, and I just added some seed starting mix. And this is very sterile, means there's no fertilizer in it and stuff like that because the food is already in the seed. It's already in the seed. So we usually don't add fertilizer to the plants until after it's germinated. And I usually give it probably about a week or two after it's germinated and got about maybe 3 to 4 inches in height. Then I start feeding it. So we're going to do it with these 6 cell. Our equipment is we have these trays, and these 6 cells seed starting packs. Now, I use these because for the most part they're real disposable and they're easy once the plant gets settled in there, and they have these holes in the bottom because we like the bottom water once the seed gets settled and start germinating, so we don't top water so it doesn't get moldy and all that stuff behind overwatering. All right, and we have the humidity dome to initially keep the moisture inside, keep it moist inside until the plants germinate, and then after that we'll take this and we'll place it on a heat mat inside the greenhouse under lights. Okay, so it's real simple. I take the tray and I add the medium. In this case, it's some coconut core with seed starting mix, and I initially put some in it, and I tamp it down with my thumb because I want the medium to be inside, fill the bottom of this seed starting pack, because when we bottom water, it's going to act as a sponge and it's going to absorb the water to help the plant germinate. So you pack it down, with your thumb, that first initial core that you place into the seed pack, it'll give it a nice firm bottom. You can kind of see the coconut core in the slits in the bottom, and that's what you want. Now some people, and I'm gonna just show you, some people will take a tray and they'll just put the medium in the tray and broadcast the seed on it. Okay, that's cool, but now you got when it germinates, you have a lot of different, like this separates it better. If you broadcast it, it might germinate here. Now, what you're going to have to do is scoop it out and then place it in another pot or something like that. And to me, it's just the way I prefer to do it. If you like to broadcast it, and this helps to me controls the water better because I'll pour the water in the tray, and when you sit them in the tray like that, it'll absorb what it needs, especially as the roots begin to form, the plant will drink what it needs to drink. So I prefer to do it like this. People do it different ways. We not watching their video right now. This is how I do. All right. So I got some initially. I got some core initially in the pack. So my next one, I take it and I just spread it lightly over the pack like this. Spread it. You know, I pack it just a little bit, not too much, just a little bit, just enough to give me some indentation in it. And you might have to come in closer to see. I don't know. I just do it just a little bit. The other one I tamped it down hard, but just a little bit because I'm going to sit the seed on top of that, and you'll see I'll spread a little bit more on top. But it's just, I'm just making a bed, just making a nice little bed for the seed to sit in and be comfortable so it can germinate and do its thing. So, all right. So right here, I have a French marigold lemon drop. I'll, marigold seeds they don't look nothing like a seed, but it is a seed. Little thin, look like little thin sticks or toothpicks or whatever you want to call them. But that's a marigold. And so I just take one. I could take one or I can put two on there. I'll just take one. I'll put two on there just to ensure some germination. And if two germinate, well, I'll pull them apart. But if one don't germinate, hopefully the other will. But I won't put more than two because too much seeds is going to bring mold. It's going to, that's my experience. So if you can see here, it's very, so I have two seeds per cell, all right? And then now I forgot to mention before, this is kind of moist. I moistened it, I watered it. I could have put a little bit more, but it's kind of moist because as you can see, it's kind of holding its form. So I moistened it, but it's not soaking wet. And you see if I squeeze it, you don't see water dripping out. And if a little drip out, that's cool. But I pre-moisten this mix and it helps. All right. So after that, I'll just take a little bit and put it over top, kind of just smooth it out some. And voila, and I'll place it in the tray. Now we kind of use these bottles, recycle these water bottles. We punch some holes in the top and they work great. See, you always want to water your seed in. And how much water should we put in? Okay, let's water it. You want to water it until you let it drain. There we go. When it start dripping out of the bottom, it's been through there. All right. Okay. And that's good enough. And honestly, realistically, that's really the last time you want to top water. If everything goes right, all the watering moving forward should be in the tray. And that's why you pack it down and you have these slits, because when you water inside this tray, you put enough water in there, it'll begin to suck it up. All right. Now, one of the most important parts about this is once we fill a tray up, we want to label the tray. We want to put what we're growing and specifically the date. All right, what we're growing and specifically the date, and put it on a tray. You know, I don't place anything on the top because you don't want to block the light. And so once we have this tray filled, we put the humidity dome on there, and gracias. And you know, so we know when it germinated, what we got, so forth and so on. And once they germinate and get to a certain height, and then we will pot them up and put them into a most likely a 4-inch pot before we place them in the garden. Sometimes we might take them out of this and place them right into the garden. You know what I mean? But we want to get them strong enough so they can survive inside the garden. And we want to make sure our temperatures, our outside temperatures are correct, but not as much, just as much as the outside temperature. You want to make sure your soil temperature is above a certain temperature degrees. With marigolds, I think it's about 60 degrees, at least the soil temp. All right, but we're putting these mostly in raised beds, so the soil temperature of the raised bed is usually a little warmer than in ground. But you want to know your temp. So that's pretty much, and as you can see, when we put this on there, it's starting to fog up already, and this humidity dome is gonna help keep the moisture inside. And so you can't let them dry out. If they look dry, I would, if you have to top water it, I would get a spray bottle and spray them as opposed to pouring water on top of it. You don't want them to dry out, but you don't want to overwater. If you start to see green mold, back off on your watering a little bit. Okay? All right. So that's pretty much it. As far as planting seed starting marigolds indoors. All right, and we're gonna fill the rest of this tray up and go and move this train. All right, peace.